A lot of flowers from head to toe, whether that was Gigi Hadid in this like extraordinary Tom Brown dress covered in tulips, or Anna Wintour herself, the chair and mastermind of the gala, who was wearing a Loewe kind of frock coat that was likewise covered in flowers. But I have to say, the dress that really stuck out to me in terms of theme interpretation was a gown that Tyla wore, created by Balmain, made to mimic the sands of time. So literally covered in sand and shaped like an hourglass.
Wow. So briefly, there have been controversies. One year it was about whether Kim Kardashian should have worn Marilyn Monroe's dress. Then there was the dress that AOC wore that said "Eat the Rich." Irony there. Was there any this year?
The controversies this year were really outside the gala. There were a lot of talk of protests, people coming over from Hunter College, down from Uptown in marching for Gaza and Palestine. There were calls online for a primal scream, but none of it really happened.
Okay. That is Vanessa Friedman. She's the New York Times fashion director and chief fashion critic. Vanessa, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Michelle Martin.
I'm Steve Inskeep.
Support for WNYC comes from the American Art Fair on view May 11th through 14th at Manhattan's Bohemian National Hall, with painting, sculpture, and works on paper by American artists of the 18th through the 21st centuries. More at theamericanartfair.com.
Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. Let's check in with London and see what they're working on. Hello, London.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm Tim Franks. On today's NewsHour, Israel moves in on southern Gaza as talks on a truce resume. That's BBC NewsHour, coming up at 9 on WNYC.
The U.S. is one of a handful of countries without national rules for paid time off if you get sick.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Schwab, helping people invest in ideas they believe in with Schwab investing themes, with more than 40 themes to choose from. More at schwab.com.
I'm David Brancaccio. First, a report this week finds Social Security and Medicare will start running out of money in about a decade. That actually is a slight improvement from the last accounting of this, but the report says Congress still needs to act to shore up the programs if it's to keep paying out what they owe. Here's Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer.
The annual Social Security and Medicare trustees reports say the Social Security Trust Fund will run out in 2033. At that point, Social Security would only be able to pay out 79% of benefits. There's better news on the trust fund for Social Security disability benefits. The report says it'll be solvent until at least 2098. Medicare's Hospital Insurance Trust Fund is now expected to last until 2036, 5 years longer than expected. This is the part of Medicare that pays for hospital bills. The report says, though, in 2036, it'll just be able to pay out 89% of benefits. Congress could raise the retirement age or hike taxes to fix the shortfalls, but the report says lawmakers should take action sooner rather than later, so, quote, the public has adequate time to prepare. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
We'll get results from the online forum Reddit after markets close today. It's the company's first quarterly profit, loss, and sales report since its stock market debut back in March. The launch of Reddit stock came over a decade after other early social media offerings like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, now X, moved public. Marketplace's Savannah Marr has that.
Reddit has been around since 2005, when most social media companies shared the same business model.
We'll raise all the venture capital we can get our hands on, and we'll spend it like water.
But Eric Gordon at the University of Michigan says Reddit was different. It was frugal in those early years, and that meant it didn't have pressure from investors.
Beating them on the head saying, go public, go public.
And telling the company it better start turning a profit, which it hasn't in nearly 20 years. But the billions of user posts and replies on Reddit recently got a lot more valuable, says Joshua White at Vanderbilt University.
They have, a vast trove of content that platforms like Google can use to train its AI models.
And train them on conversations between regular people rather than literature or professional writing. White says today's earnings report will give us a look at how efforts to monetize all that content with ads and AI training deals are panning out. I'm Savannah Marr for Marketplace.
Markets, Dow and S&P futures are up just slightly. NASDAQ futures are down 0.1%. Disney profits topped expectations this morning for the winter quarter. For the first time, the streaming services Disney Plus and Hulu produced a profit when combined. Old school TV revenue down, and ESPN Plus was ESPN minus for the quarter. The stock is down 8% in pre-market trading now. And another kind of stock, fish stock, makes a great ramen soup, and there are fish stocks, the amount of fish in the ocean. Some improvement there. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says the percentage of U.S. stocks not being overfished is up to 94%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers comprehensive cybersecurity protection while automating cyber defense to stop threats so organizations can thrive. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com. And by Rubrik. When cyber attacks put businesses at risk, Rubrik provides the power to bounce back fast. More at Rubrik.com.
The pandemic was, among other things, a grim reminder that workers without paid sick leave find it very hard if they do indeed get sick. Emergency federal rules for paid sick leave expired in 2021, but some states addressed this recently, including Colorado, New York, New Mexico, Illinois, and Minnesota. They joined 10 other states and D.C. with these benefits. Zach Dyer, with our partner KFF Health News, reports.
Bill Thompson and his wife were married nearly 20 years, and she'd never seen him smile.
I didn't have any teeth to smile with.
An infection in Thompson's mouth that started around 1998 robbed him of his teeth. As he worked the grill at Burger King, Thompson dealt with throbbing toothaches and painful abscesses that made his face swell. At the time, he didn't have health or dental insurance or paid sick leave. Thompson lives in Missouri, one of many states that doesn't require it.
I can't afford to miss any work. I can't afford to miss any pay because I already work paycheck to paycheck.
It eventually took charity care for Thompson to get his teeth fixed in 2018. Today, he has a new smile and a new job, one that offers paid sick leave.
When the pandemic hit, we finally saw some real political will to solve the problem of not having federal paid sick leave.
That's Hillary Wething. She co-authored a report on sick leave in America for the Economic Policy Institute. Wething says the lack of paid time off hits low-income workers the hardest.
If you take 3 days of unpaid sick time, that could potentially cut off electricity or heating to your family.
Wething's report found that more than half of the lowest paid workers can't get time off for an illness. She says showing up to work sick poses a risk to coworkers and customers.
Our cashiers, our waiters, our nail technicians, they risk infecting their customers, and that can have a community-wide ripple effect.
The National Federation of Independent Businesses says the cost of paying workers for time off, extra paperwork, and lost productivity burdens small employers. And the Small Business Advocacy Group argues that workplaces should have the flexibility to figure something out with their employees without mandates. Illinois' paid time off law went into effect this year. Lauren Patton co-owns the Old Bakery Beer Company there. She says most of her employees are young.
So when they get sick, it's usually a day or two and then they're back at it.
One study found that workers take an average of 2 more sick days a year once these laws go into effect. Patton supports Illinois' new requirement for sick leave, but worries about how to pay for it.
So whether that means raising prices or cutting something else or just doing it and seeing what happens,
If the state requires it, she says she'll make it work. In St. Louis, I'm Zach Dyer.
And that's in association with KFF Health News, an independent source of news, polling, and health policy research. Our producers are James Graham, Naomi Rainey, Nick Perez, Ariana Rosas, Alex Schroeder, and Erica Soderstrom. Our senior producer is Meredith Garrettson-Morby. I'm David Brancaccio. This is the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.